All right, happy 2025, everybody. The energy in the air is electric. We know that this is going to be a year of change in a big way, abundance in a big way, and a real mass awakening and shift in consciousness towards us using our resources wisely, working in harmony with nature, and taking our power back. And we're very excited to be able to bring some new updates to you today. Just for everybody who's kind of followed along with Food Forest Abundance for a while, you have saw the evolution of the company. We started off as really a design and build firm focused on permaculture, converting wasted lawn space and ornamental landscaping into edible landscapes, ultimately turning your property from a liability into a big asset that's producing a great yield for you. And over the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years now, as we have been talking to thousands of people about doing this, we continued to run up against the same disconnect in what people thought about, and more importantly, what they saw in their head when they thought about growing food and what it is we actually do. Most people see either an annual garden that their mom or grandmother or whatever used to have, or they see a monoculture farm. And both of those things fight nature every step of the way, unfortunately, but it is what it is. It's got us to where we're at today. But what we do here with permaculture is we flip it all on its head. We work in harmony with nature. We don't want to fight nature because that's where all the time, energy, money, resources, chemicals, etc., are involved in trying to control and fight nature. And nature is relentless. So it takes a lot of that. But what we do here with permaculture is we work with nature. We remove all of those blockers, those things that take to fight it, and instead let nature do what nature does best, which is produce abundance. And from that, we started creating a model where we would send people to walk through food forests to help them change the image in their head. And by doing so, 100% of the time, the image changed, they got it, it made sense, and they wanted to integrate it into their own life in some capacity. And that led us to realize we need way more demonstration locations so that we can inspire way more people and have them take action and adopt these things into their lives. And that's what led us to create what we now call the Freedom Farm Academy business model. And to keep it really simple, the Freedom Farm Academy is literally a demonstration site that showcases all of the different possibilities that come from producing your own food, everything from the permaculture to the vertical gardening and aquaculture and electroculture and hydroponics and animal husbandry to the energy pieces, which, having control and be able to produce your own energy is extremely valuable. The solar, the wind, the geothermal, the hydroelectric, where possible, even into the water, right? Building ponds, capturing rainwater on property, moving that around, utilizing things like atmospheric water generators, things to structure your water, etc. And that even led us to say, hey, when we remove the poisons on the front end of the system, people begin to naturally heal. So why don't we incorporate healing technologies and all the things that exist there to help people with the healing? And that has now been integrated as a part of the Freedom Farm Academy model too. So showcasing things like the cold plunges and saunas and light therapies and sound therapies and on from a healing standpoint, and education, obviously a core driver of this as well. We've not only got the education more geared at the adults, going through the tours and different retreats and courses that can be taken, but also we've decided, hey, let's go after and work with children because they're the future. And if we can start teaching kids all about permaculture and utilizing our resources wisely and get their hands dirty, get them in the ground, we know that we can change the future drastically by improving what they learn about and what they get experience in doing, which also then permeates out into their family homes, their community, and on and on. So we've spent really the past year and a half evolving and improving the Freedom Farm Academy business model, with Galt's Landing being our flagship location that's gone through all kinds of tremendous innovations and improvements. Jim there obviously being on site every day, and now with his direct partner, Allison, they've got some incredible things happening at Galt. And we just wanted to get everybody together here to showcase some of the new things that have come up, as well as an investment opportunity that exists today, and really where this is all going. So with that all being said, I'll turn it over to Chris to dive in on a little more of the details and kick this thing off.
Okay, thanks, Matthew. Absolutely correct on all that, and welcome everybody to 2025. Got a bunch of things going on here, and to start off, the children's school, and we're still working on the name a little bit, but we're thinking of Freedom Farm Academy or Freedom Farm Peace School. So underneath that, we'll have K through 6. We've got a consultant already who goes by the name of Susan. She currently runs peace schools all over the world. And then Jerry will be our director. And we have another girl coming on, Susan, who has quite an abundance of permaculture background. So all this involved will be for the kids, where they spend part of their day outside learning permaculture, as well as all the other core classes that they'll need to educate themselves. But it will all be application based, as far as, instead of 2 + 2 is 4, they'll learn the business model behind that, as far as, if you sell 2 bananas and 2 apples for this much money, it will equal this much money. So really bringing it back to the core principles of what it takes to survive in this world, and teaching these kids at a young age.
Yeah.
Jim, you have anything to add on that?
I sure do. This model, if there was one thing that we were doing, this model has the most profound potential to change the world. And I just love Matthew and Chris, and we all come from different perspectives and awarenesses and abilities to communicate, right? Matthew's been my partner for 4 years, and I have never met anybody more dedicated to a mission. He gave up $1 million a year position to dedicate himself to this mission of food forests everywhere, because he's aware that this changes the world. Chris Allison, I'm so thankful that we met through our combined friend, Bill Heinzelman. Bill was nominated for a Silver Star, and Chris was the security team leader for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon. Now he's our security team leader here at Galt's Landing, and our operations leader. So we've got different skill sets all throughout our organization and our community, filling in the gaps, and we're inviting you to be part of this. So the vision that came for me for the school, in fact, Chris, Chris is standing about like 300 yards away from me right now. He's in a food forest that we planted 2.5 years ago. Chris, you want to give us a quick show around of that?
Yep, absolutely. And here we go. This is right here in the heart of the food forest. So this is all the abundance that has been growing since Jim's inception here of Galt's Landing.
It's incredible. It's still a baby food forest, but it already produces an exponential amount of abundance. Now, the place I'm standing, in fact, I'll show you where he's at. He's right over there. You see that kind of patch over there, green? Well, we are spreading out the abundance to this patch. We just took this massive pile of mulch and we spread it out, and then Chris and Carlos tilled it into the land. And now, just over the last couple of days, we have put hundreds of different starts with sweet potatoes and Cuban oregano and cherries and mulberries into the ground. And then since I'm here, I'll show you this. These are buckets of fish. We went fishing, and now we let the fish sit and kind of get nasty, and then we spread this on the land, not directly on the plants, by the way. So then, anyway, all of these things that we're talking about, a 5-year-old can harvest food. A 5-year-old can plant seeds. A 5-year-old innately knows how to tend a food forest. And I know that because my daughter's 5 years old and she loves it. If we are ever bored inside the house, I say, kiddo, let's go for a walk out in the food forest. We could be out for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, and there's not an ounce of boredom, right? So the model that came to me while meditating here in the food forest is we're going to build a school right over here. It's going to be 3 shipping containers. And we're going to create an outside kitchen. And we're going to have enough room easily for 25 kids with 3 teachers. Now, check out this model. The teachers will receive more pay, more salary than they do in a standard model, in a standard educational system, whether it be public or private school. The parents of the kids will pay $1,200 a month for the first little while for the students to go to school at this school. Now, relative to the current economy here in Central Florida, where my partners are paying $2,000 a month per student, per child, and so they're paying $4,000 a month for their kids to go to school at a private school that's an hour away, right? So $1,200 a month as a result of the teachers and the kids working together to turn this whole area into paradise, into an epic polyculture of food, which means a diversity. Well, as a result of that, the families of the students will receive all of their food needs from the school itself, right? So within 3 months, they're getting some food from the land. Within 6 months, that they're getting 3 times as much. Within the first year, not only will all of their food needs be met from the land, their family's food needs, but we will be able to start propagating and selling the abundance, the plants and the starts to our local community. And as a result, the school becomes financially regenerative, right? Schools nowadays are a liability. They are a tax on the balance sheet of humanity, and our educational system sucks, right? This system is exactly the opposite of that. It is an asset to everybody involved, including the land itself, and everybody wins exponentially. And the other piece I'll share is we're not just growing food for their families and their communities, we're growing starts. And so we are going to be transplanting all of the abundance that comes here from Galt's Landing to the backyards of their families. And so it goes.
Perfect. Absolutely.
All right. Matthew, what's the next piece? Go ahead. Sorry.
Now I was going to bring up next, going right into the Galt CSA Community Support Agriculture. So for community, we're accepting 4 members at $350 a month, which that money will cover us taking care of the land, taking care of their food forest, meaning the client's food forest, and then also being able to get most of your grocery bill straight here from Galt's Landing. And the other thing is also going out as a community. So everybody involved in the CSA that wants to start a food forest at their home, we can transplant the forest that they started here, and then the community members from the CSA will all go to their location and help build out their food forest at their house. So the abundance that you get not only from the community, the classes, and the food is amazing. Now, on top of that, we have Eric Heinzelman, who is our professional chef. He started 37 restaurants. I know he tells us every time, but I always forget. But something like 37 restaurants from Planet Hollywood, Miller's Ale House, and a couple others. But he can take everything that's coming from the ground and put it into a meal. So every Sunday at 2 p.m., CSA members will gather around and we'll either teach a farm to table class, which will be the community members coming out into the food forest. We'll pick, so for instance, in January, we have how to process sweet potatoes. So here on Galt's Landing, we may have 1 to 2 million pounds of sweet potatoes, I think, just from walking around. So we'll come out, pick some sweet potatoes, and Eric will teach us, 100 different ways that we can process sweet potatoes to eat them, store them. He'll also be teaching canning and preservation of the food. And then on every other Sunday that we're not doing farm to table classes, we'll be doing a class on, for instance, this Sunday will be how to build soil and compost. So many different ways to do that. So we'll definitely give everybody a in-depth class on what they need to start from the ground up. And the class after that, near the end of January, will be starting your food forest. So we'll come out here and learn how to propagate things and plant them into the soil that they're going to bring home.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. So there's so
Jim?
many functions for this CSA, community supported agriculture. Many of you have heard of cooperatives, right? In a cooperative, it's typically based on annual garden beds where a couple people on a part-time basis take some land, an acre or two, and they grow food, and then they bring in the cooperative members. Our model, as I said, is not only to give them a fish, but to teach them to fish. So we are going to be, as far as the value add that we are bringing to all of our members, the 40 members, there's going to be the primary value add is we are going to propagate and build out their food forest here on the land like a nursery. And then whenever they want, they can take their plants home and turn their yards into food production systems. So that's the primary value. The cost, as Chris said, is $350 a month or $4,200 for the year. All of that money goes to pay for 3 full-time laborers, 3 full-time people who are putting their energy into propagation. And here's where it gets just epic is our school is opening up in August. So within 3 to 6 months of that, the students will be doing most of the tending to the garden, most of the work with the guidance of our CSA operations, Chris and Eric and the teachers. This whole area will be this massive production system. Everybody can do this. By the way, if you say, oh, I don't have land, I can't do this, is all you have to do to get land is share with a bunch of people who own land this model. Because Matthew and I did this about 2 years ago now. We were actually going for what was that called? A fund.
It was a grant.
A grant. And the whole thing turned out to be a scam. We wrote the best grant proposal that has ever been seen, and Pepsi won the grant, right? It was a big scam. But my point is we can integrate the school with the CSA and the guidance here, and this can create a massive amount of abundance every month for everybody involved. So the return on the investment is exponential.
Absolutely. Anything else on that, Jim? Or you want to move on to the next bullet point?
Yeah, it might pop in. Move on for now, and then we'll see.
Okay. So next up is would be Galt's gym. This is just going to add to the health and wellness piece that we'll be putting in here. So the gym will be a 24-hour gym, private gym to 50 members. That model will be $100 a month per member. You'll be able to go online, rent your hour and a half, or excuse me, not rent, reserve your hour and a half space at the gym. The gym will have state-of-the-art equipment. I've previously owned a gym. I Release Point Performance. I started it, shut it down, and or sold it, I should say. So we'll be opening up this year. We'll have 6 rack spaces. I'll program everything myself. So I have a background. I have a bachelor's degree in health and wellness, and I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. So I have a pretty good idea on how to work out and the functionality to build performance within the human performance system, as well as Matthew. Matthew, that was his background as well. So you'll be able to come in, have your own rack space. You don't have to wait for anybody to move, and then you'll have all your equipment right there. You'll have a screen personalized for whatever workout you want to do. We'll have a juice bar available, shower, bathroom. So no matter what time you work, if you're, law enforcement, or you just have a reverse schedule as civilian, you can come in, reserve your time, and it's open 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. The way these things integrate, not only do we help people heal, right? Let thy food be thy medicine. Do we create the gym for them? We're gonna have pathways all through this. In fact, I'll share a little vision that when I sit here sometimes when the sun is setting over the lake, I imagine this food forest in 3 years from now. And it's shaded, and there's just massive trees and bushes and foods of all layers and layers of colors and smells and diversity in food. And the children, the students are running around and they're harvesting and they're picking and they're laughing. And there's rabbits and there's bird houses and there's all this life here, right? Look at what this is now. That's what it will be in a few years. But one of the primary functions of this is building community, right? Because right now we've been so detached from our communities, and community is key to thriving in the times to come, right? Community used to be normal, it used to be the way of things, right? What is that thing? It takes a village to raise a child. That is so real. There was no such thing as a single mother living and working 3 jobs while their kid went to daycare back 100, 200 years ago, right? Unless it was some kind of rare situation. There was always a community. And I've lived in Africa with the Maasai. I've lived in the jungles of Chiang Mai in different places. I've seen it. It still exists in the healthiest populations of our world today. It doesn't exist in the civilized world, right? But we're bringing it back because everybody wins.
Absolutely. And people always refer to America as being healthy as well. Well, I beg to differ with our overweight problem from people eating all this processed poisoned food, where, even though it may be a third world country, their physical beings are a lot more healthy than what we have here in America.
Well, you've got some of the sickest population in the world on more drugs than any other country in the world. To treat long-term autoimmune diseases is definitely one of the drivers of your sickness business. And unfortunately, a lot of these things did not exist 50 years ago. These autoimmune conditions that plague people from oftentimes early childhood to early teenage years and stay with them for their whole life.
Yep.
That is not a good sign.
Not at all.
Yeah. It's a trend that we must reverse, and we know how to reverse it, and we are reversing it. I've never felt better in my life. I'm 55 on Christmas Eve, and I just feel great. And people who come here, they feel great too.
Yep.
Absolutely. You look great too, Jim.
I'm loving life, you guys. Thank you both for everything you're doing too. We're doing it right.
Jim, do you want to go over, since you're over in that location already, the greenhouse, the nursery, and the herbs and spices? And I'm just going to actually walk over to your location as well, closer to you, and we can roll right into the kitchen as well.
Yep. So this video is meant to inspire and empower everybody. And also, if you know anybody that is a seasoned investor, then please share this with them, because what the models that we are creating have the potential to scale globally and change the world. Now, the investor has to know the why, because we are not going to patent. We are not going to have anybody sign NDAs. We are not going to do non-competes, because our mission is to change the world. So if somebody out there says, I think I want to do this, but I want to be a single teacher and I only want to have 8 kids and the families are paying $800 a month each, and you're making $6,400 and you have 8 kids to take care of, great. You just created a model for yourself as a teacher where everybody wins to the max, right? So, but with that said, the investors, we are bringing in teams of professionals, and I mean world-class experts, to handle different support systems. And in essence, it's a lot like a franchise model without the clause, without the force and violence of the legal system. We will still have agreements to sign and all that stuff, but we are looking for investors who want to help us create the support model, which is already being created. But, you know, a little cash can make things go rapidly faster. So this right here is a greenhouse. I've been a greenhouse designer for now, I don't know, 10 years. And this greenhouse is done out of cold form steel. I had another greenhouse right here. It cost me over $6,000. And the hurricane twisted it to shreds, right? Within, I don't know, 6 months of it sitting there, it was just a pile of shite. And this greenhouse it's the most durable and functional and just frankly awesome greenhouse that we are coming to the market with. We've already got manufacturing, we've got distribution. Our engineer is fantastic and he knows exactly how to work with this material and this product. So we're going to put the greenhouse right here as part of our nursery. And by the way, it's not just a greenhouse. It will capture water. It'll capture and store energy and water. It'll have solar panels and water catchment. It'll also have a ham radio and a EMP shield in case we have any EMPs. And so it'll be a completely off-grid food, water, and energy system and communications system. It's 8 by 24 feet. And it comes because I won't get too down the greenhouse path, but I've designed a lot of greenhouses, and we had major problems with another really awesome greenhouse, but the cost was exorbitant. This frame is going to land for us under $3,000, right? Especially when we can print more than one of them, right? And so this frame, along with all the different polycarbonate and different interior stuff, our cost of goods will be probably around $6,000 or $7,000. We'll add a margin on that, and we will be able to come to market with an off-grid food, water, and energy system for under $20,000. That will really create a lot of value for people. And so if you're interested in that piece of the puzzle, let me know. We've got a team, some folks that are just incredible that really get the why of it. And then we're going to actually be burying this down to the axles right here. There's a semi truck, and we're digging a hole here, and we're going to turn that into a kitchen. And one of the businesses, and I just talked to my partner, Marcel, and there's a few names that are very, very famous. One guy is probably going to be nominated, well, will be nominated for a Nobel Prize. Of course, we know that Nobel Peace Prize is kind of a scam now, but this guy deserves the real one for his courage and insight as to what's happening around the world right now. So we've got a team coming to the market to create an herbal tea led by Eric Heinzelman and his brother Bill, who are already doing mushrooms, lion's mane and chaga and many different kinds of mushrooms that I use in my coffee every day. So we're going to turn the plants, the cranberry hibiscus and the lemongrass and the moringa and the turmeric and hundreds of different species of medicinal plants. We are going to turn those into teas. And I mean, the story, just as a marketer, just imagine this as a marketing gold mine where you have the kids tending to the crops. And by the way, the students in the school and the families will receive the yield, or a big part of the yield, from all of the products and services and value that they create. So now the school, can you imagine these schools popping up all over in different zones, creating all of these medicines? And then we create the model and the brand where we bring these medicinal teas to the market. So anyway, we're going to do it right here out of this kitchen. And then this area here, turning free. And there's our dynamizer that creates our incredible tea. That's just a little biogas system. And we hooked that up to our toilet. And on the other side, I just cooked fish dinner for Chris and Hota and I, or fish lunch. And we had fish that we caught in the lake, cooked on the gas from our toilet right here on the side of the deck. There's the frying pan right over there. So we're showing the world, to the best of our ability, with your help, how we can win this epic battle and overcome this absolute insanity. And there's only one way, and that is by taking our energy out of the artificial, out of the insane, and becoming stewards of the land again. When we add a little love to this land, when we plant a mulberry tree in the ground and let it do its thing, or a papaya right next to it, or a Jamaican cherry like this one here, when we put these plants in the ground, they will provide exponential free food and energy for us. What do you guys think?
Well, I love the ability to have people contribute their labor, especially through the school system, the design that's been done with the school and the CSA, where parents get to invest their dollars in a way they already are doing anyways to help their children become excellent adults. They're already spending money to have their kids go to school. But this system is done in a way where that investment not only educates their children, but also puts their kids to work, getting real world hands-on experience, producing something of serious value, not only for the kids, but also for their parents and then the community at large. And it's done in such a way where it's almost like demonetizing the whole process of the food production, because
Yep.
the parents are paying for the school anyways. And part of those dollars are now being redirected towards something that will continue to be a part of their children's lives or their skill set for the rest of their lives. And a benefit from all of that is not only the kids get food produced for themselves at the school, but then the parents will eventually have food being brought home to them from the school. And then eventually they'll have plants that are going to be coming home to their homes from the school, which then begin to produce value for them at their own homes, on their own properties. And then from there, their children now have the knowledge and the skill set to be able to help other people inside their community also get that same type of a benefit. So this has a massive ripple effect out into the world from just this one location, which is what a design, right? It's not normally thought of in that way when you're sending your child to either a government funded institution or even a private school. It's just not built in that way where you get to think about what happens here, how does it impact the community at large? And this is totally built different with that type of a mind frame from the start. It's integrating the permaculture principles.
Yeah.
And something to add on to that, what I always think about is, you know, whether it's the school or you come here for a visit or you're in the CSA, you know, people always go home with something. And so if you're in the CSA or part of the school, I mean, once you learn how to graft a tree, you can take a 3-foot branch home, which would cost about $100 to $200 at a typical nursery, and go home and plant that papaya tree once it's grafted and growing into the cup. You know, bring that home, and now you have a 3-foot papaya tree that will probably be producing fruit within the year. You know, so win-win situation all around. To kind of caveat off of what Matthew was saying.
The idea whose time has come stronger than all of the armies of the world, my friends. It's nature. It's God's design. And look at the kiddos just got done fishing. Did you catch any fish? Oh, God. You guys, the timing. I mean, this is so perfect. All right. Do you mind being on film real quick? All right.
Those are my kids.
Look at that. Oh, look at that beauty. That
Wow.
right there is good food. And look at this crappie. Oh, my God, you guys. Good job, guys.
A baby bass too.
Nice. And you let them go. That is so cool. Woo. All right. Thanks, guys. Ooh, isn't that fun? You guys. So we are inviting everybody to participate because why not? I love my life. Everybody can have this. Everybody should have this because this is the way we are meant to live. So if you want to be involved in any way, we have some documents to share that that kind of speak to the more the details of the investment. If you want to focus on the school or the greenhouse or any particular piece of this puzzle, or if you know anybody in Central Florida, have them, or any Florida at all, actually, have them get a hold of us. We can build out their food forest and we can invite them into this community, which is growing freedom on every conceivable level. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the moringa. This is all medicine, my friends. Cuban oregano, bananas, and then this is where our Airbnbs are. And this is our private 430-acre lake here. It's profound. It's the answer. Nature is the answer, my friends. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Chris. Let's get this out to everybody we know and everybody's invited.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Please reach out to us with any questions or any, just anything that you need. Please reach out. We're looking forward to working with some phenomenal people and helping bring this to life even further.
Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.